Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you hopping in on the D&H Lenovo webinar here. I'm Chuck Boyer, the director for our Lenovo Infrastructure Solutions Group business unit. And today we have Amit Kulkarni. He is a senior product manager for Lenovo. And we're going to basically go over the ThinkAgile MX platform. Like one of the things that I've really noticed in a lot of conversations with our partner community, especially at our Partner 5 meeting at the beginning of June, was that there's a lot of pain and angst around what VMware is doing to the channel and your guys' ability to support your VMware customers. So as we look at this is definitely a great potential alternative for you guys to really take a good long look at and have conversations. And so that said, I am going to turn it over to Amit.
All right. Thanks, Chuck. Hey, guys, how are you? It's great to be here with all of you. I would love to discuss the ThinkAgile MX portfolio and Azure Local with you guys. So looking forward to the discussion.
All right, so we are going to start off with the poll just to kind of get a sense, and we'll make sure that we keep the content relevant for everyone here. So what are some of the most commonly heard challenges from your customers when you guys are talking about their IT and business goals for the year? I believe you can select multiple options on this, so we'll give you a few seconds to sift through the choices and we'll move on, and this will help us make sure that the content stays relevant. All right. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to review and respond. So expansion of data storage needs, that's going to, great topic. Security concerns of sensitive data, excellent. Concerns of critical data availability, rising space costs, data center expansion, and increasing cloud compute. Fantastic. I think, Amit, that seems right in line with a lot of the benefits that we're seeing out of the ThinkMX with Azure Local. So the floor is yours. Drive away.
All right. So today we will talk briefly about what is Azure Local, how it compares with some of the other alternatives, what is the architecture for it. We'll have a brief primer on the licensing options for you when you purchase Azure Local. What are some of the most popular use cases? And then we'll dive into the product portfolio. What are the range of options you have with Lenovo? Why you should go with Lenovo? And what are some of the differentiating elements that Lenovo brings to the table? I would like to keep the content interactive. So if you have any questions, we have our team is looking at it in monitoring the chat and questions. So feel free to ask your questions there, and we can respond to it. We will take a look at, if we are not able to get through them in this presentation, we will get back to you on the questions and respond. So Azure Local. So the hyper-converged infrastructure is gaining a lot of popularity these days. The three-tier storage architecture of network, compute, and storage separately, each requiring different administration and the involved complexity. It's too much for a lot of use cases to handle. So that's why industries are moving towards hyper-converged infrastructure. You have, in that environment, you have your Ethernet switches, your standard servers, drives, as well as the virtualization software, all included, boxed in some cases as an appliance. And so that provides a lot of ease of management, ease of maintenance, etc. For ThinkAgile MX integrated systems, what we do is this is the hyper-converged infrastructure tailored for the solution that is provided with Azure Local. So you have your super reliable Lenovo hardware server at the bottom. Then it includes Hyper-V as a virtualization engine. Microsoft Storage Spaces Direct is the storage manager. This is kind of equivalent to vSAN for those of you who are familiar with the VMware environment. This is topped off with the SDN, the software-defined networking in Azure Local. All of this can be managed in a using Windows Admin Center or using Azure Arc Connect. It can be managed through the Azure portal directly from the cloud anywhere. So the way Azure Local architecture is defined is it sits as an OS on the hardware ecosystem. It's a and then you have the guest VMs on top of that, multiple guest VMs that go on top of that, and those in those VMs you could run various applications, SQL Server and etc. All of this can run on these VMs. You can also deploy AKS. AKS is the Azure Kubernetes service. You can deploy it on the OS or also in some cases on the bare metal. And this AKS then can house various containers and the container-ready applications. All of these applications can be managed through Azure Arc, are connected to the Azure cloud through Azure Arc, and then can be managed through Azure portal. So what this allows you to do is deploy your on-prem hardware, manage it through the Azure cloud. So it gives a lot of flexibility in terms of management, ease of use. You have the same interface for your Azure infrastructure as well as the Azure on-prem infrastructure, or what is now called Azure Local.
So obviously, I think most of you here are pretty familiar with vSphere. What concerns do you have about Azure Local? What do you know? What do you not know? This just gives you a chance to give us a little bit more input here. So I'll give everybody about 20, 25 seconds or so and let you answer. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh. No answers?
So I guess that just means two things. Either you do not have any concerns or you're not familiar with Azure Local enough to have concerns. I think we can address both of those in the course of this chat. So Azure Local is powered by Azure Arc really. So Azure Arc, it sets this Arc technology, allows you to connect, as I mentioned previously, whatever is in Azure portal. It allows you to connect to your on-prem devices in your data center, or be it like a distributed environment. So it provides you with the reach. So be it Windows, be it Linux VMs or bare metal, you can have access through your Azure portal. You can have access to all the inventory of your deployed systems. Provides you the reach, and then once you have access to those systems, you can see it all in your Azure portal. You can then configure it. You can have the consistent VM extensions and have the centralized management that makes it easier to monitor. Especially it is handy if you have a very distributed deployment, and you have to you don't have to log into like each of the sites individually. From the central console, you could see how each of these locations, what VMs there are, what versions they have deployed, and all of that stuff. So this allows you to then govern them in a logical, easier to manage way. You can set in Azure policies that you want to enforce there, and the compliance that you can have across the environments, and also do the some of the audit and some of the OS settings that you can monitor in terms of secure boot is required, or whatnot, you can ensure that at a global level. That makes this solution very secure. Microsoft is making constant changes in terms of the security posture, and each new release has a lot of the default security behavior, a lot of the security behavior defaulted. So it also provides you with the role-based access control and improves the overall security of your solution. So one of the concerns that we've heard from various customers is the increasing cost in VMware. So with the VMware licensing options, and there has been a lot of concern about Azure Local. So after this poll question, we can take a look at the overall licensing options with Azure.
So what are your customers saying about these the VMware changes that are coming out? Are they not really worried about it? A little bit, somewhat, or they're like, oh my gosh, we need to do something about that. All right, let's see what we got. 6% not, 6%. Wow, look at that. Almost 87% either moderate or major concerns in regards to what's happened with VMware and the cost of living. Okay. That's one of the reasons why we put this webinar together.
Yeah, and this is in line. I'm just surprised by the 6.7% who are saying not concerned. I think you're one of the few lucky ones who are not concerned. So going back to the Azure Local, one of the things that we don't want to happen is people who are concerned about their licensing options from VMware. They come into the Azure Local environment and have confusion about various licensing choices that they do. So this is an attempt to tackle that and try to give you some guidance on which option might be right for you under what circumstances. Again, I know this is a partner specific audience. This is not a customer specific audience, but I know even partners are impacted by that, and they would also want to know what is the situation so that they can advise the customers appropriately. So the easiest and the simplest option is the pay-as-you-go model. You have to pay $10 per core per month. There's no charge, unlike VMware, no charge for storage, no minimum requirement of nodes, etc. It's very simple. $10 per however many cores you have. There are, in some cases, some platforms may support physically disabling the cores, and in that case those cores are not counted towards your billing, but whatever cores are enabled, $10 per core, that's it. uh, Recently Microsoft also added AKS to this licensing to make it even sweeter deal. This does not have guest VM licenses, but again, if you are comparing it to VMware also does not have guest VM license included. So this, if you compare to that, this is a considerably cheaper option, depending on the configuration, depending on whether you go with VVF, VCF, but this definitely comes out to be far cheaper than any other option. If you think this is cheaper, wait till you hear what are the other two options. The hybrid benefit, the cost for this is zero. That's right, it is zero for Azure Local. That's because if you have the Windows data center license, and you have the active software assurance, and that buys you a lot of things. So many companies do tend to have that. In that case, Azure Local is included. So a lot of times when customers who would switch from VMware to Azure Local, their savings would be however much they would be paying for VMware. Exactly that, because in this case they do not have any extra charge to pay for Azure Local, because they already have access to Azure Local. This also includes AKS, and there's no Windows Server subscriptions required. The CALs are not required. So this becomes a very attractive proposition for a lot of users. The third is for customers who do not want to have a subscription option. So they're tired of the software vendor changing the licensing terms on them. They've been burned by VMware, so they want control over the licensing option. So that's why when other companies are moving away from perpetual license, Microsoft has introduced this OEM SKU, the hybrid SKU, as it is called. This is a perpetual life of device license. As long as you have your server, this license stay with you. And it's also handy if you want to depreciate the hardware. You can also depreciate the software costs along with it. So if you're more of a capex type company, or if the customer is more of a capex type customer, this would be a very attractive proposition for them. As it includes, as I said, it includes Azure Local, it includes AKS, as well as it includes Windows Server Data Center 2025 as a guest VM. So uh, it does include a lot of things. There are provisions of if you would want support to be handled by us, or you can still do it through Microsoft. So in terms of flexibility, it is very good, especially for companies like manufacturing or more of an edge type of companies. This option makes a lot of sense. The data hybrid benefit is an option that is obviously if you have data center licenses. So companies with large data centers typically would have this. So that's the kind of distinguishing factor between this. If somebody has a lot of distributed locations, you would suggest to them OEM SKU first. If not, then go back to a hybrid benefit and then fall back to the pay-as-you-go model. Each of these options includes the extended security updates, includes the hot patching and the policies and the update manager. The update manager allows you to to monitor. Microsoft has patching Tuesdays, uh, or they release a new version every Tuesday or something like that. So each of these options will allow you to get access to the latest release. There's no charge for that. There's no requirement for additional cost for support or anything. Uh, if you want to provide this to the customer, that's also services that you can do. If you want us to do that, that's also an option available. Any questions on licensing, feel free to put it in the Q&A. So I did mention the enhanced security updates there that are included. It is so what it is it provides critical patches beyond the standard support life cycle. So if you have something like an application that is running on Windows 19 or Windows 12 and that is out of support now, then you would still, if you are getting the ESUs, then you would still get security updates fixed for those. Otherwise, normally you would not get it. This ESUs are very handy because then it gives you control, the customer control, or how long they can extend their application. Otherwise, in absence of this, they would have to switch as soon as the support term ended, because they would not be they would leave themselves vulnerable for not receiving any security updates. So this gives the control to them. And in terms of Azure, it is already included, so it is a huge cost savings and use flexibility boost for the customer so that they can control their fate. So this is just some detail about the functionality. Will not go over this, but this will be available for your reference later. So what we can go over some of the use cases that Azure Local is excels in. The the operative word here is Azure Local is like the adaptive cloud. So you have Azure as a cloud, and then you have Azure on local. So that's where the name Azure Local comes in. So you can have same application in Azure or in multi-cloud, or you can then extend Azure Local to your data center. We have solutions that will enable you to run it in your own private cloud, set it up in your own private cloud, or to the distributed environment to edge or remote edge or your robo offices locations. All of these um, Azure Local, in one way or another, can cater towards all of these solutions. The Azure obviously would be doing the in the cloud, but for the all three other locations, you would have Azure Local as well as a combination of a, uh, what is called the Azure Stack Hub, different OS for the private cloud. So this allows you to run your workloads seamlessly anywhere in the cloud, on the data center, in the edge, or even in private cloud. And then um, in terms of, in some cases, it allows you to functionality to scale the applications within the cloud or bring it back onto the prem based on the requirement. The three applications that we see most popular and most common, the AKS, the AVD, and the SQL Server. AVD is Azure Virtual Desktop. That is the virtual desktop solution that comes with Azure Local. For VMware, customers might be familiar with Horizon. Some might be using Citrix. This is a much more functionally capable alternative, and is even and the costs are very reasonable, especially compared to the other options. If you notice, I mentioned the cost for this AVD in the previous slide. It is 1 cent per virtual core per hour. Yeah. So it compares favorably. When we did some usage numbers, it compares favorably with Horizon as well as Citrix. AVD is the most popular service, was the most popular service in Azure, and Microsoft a couple of years back they brought it to on-prem for Azure Local, and it has been one of the services in most demand. So I think it's a very good potential use case to discuss with your customer. So when to use Azure Local? When would you talk to the customer about Azure Local? I must say that the situation has changed a little bit since we put together this slide earlier. But I still kept this slide here because I wanted to give you perspective of where it was initially intended to and how the recent changes have affected it and where it is going now. So it was primarily targeted to affordably run on the edge systems with the GPU support, with the GPU, with the AI services, etc., available in Azure, and the integration that is available. It allows you to do integrated intelligent edge at remote and branch offices. So that's where it was getting most use. It was driving the most popular use cases. Another place where it was drawing a lot of interest was the SQL service, because you have end-to-end Microsoft supported SQL. So it was highly optimized, highly performant. With Azure Arc, it had scalability functionality. So it allowed you to uh, get maximum performance, have enough flexibility for any unknown event. unplanned for event that happens, like service outage or high load, etc. So that's where it was getting a lot of traction initially. The AKS, uh, the functionality with the ease of monitoring, ease of managing the Kubernetes platform had started on giving customers were taking a look in at AKS. The usage is growing still, but it is still in the early stages with all the Kubernetes services. The promise is huge, but still the implementation wise, if you see the percentage, it is mostly for VMware. But it had started, that's where they were looking to focus in. And they brought in AVD. As I mentioned earlier, AVD was the most popular use case in Azure, and then bringing into the Azure Local, it picked up from where it left off in Azure and started driving a lot of attraction. All of this is kind of changed by the VMware, uh, you know, migration acquisition by Broadcom. So lot more focus is customers are looking at it a lot more holistically instead of just at a use case level. These use cases are still where you can get maximum bang for the buck from Azure Local, but the fact remains that Azure Local is a competent platform for overall hyperconverged needs. So that allows you to, if you compare, especially if you compare the cost for VMware and then the performance and the capability provided by Azure Local, then pretty much for the data center or for edge, then it becomes a very attractive proposition. There are some cases that will go into, depending on time, where in large data center environments, maybe there are, and in some use cases, maybe it is not the ideal fit, but for a large variety of use cases, for 80% of the use cases, even more, it becomes a very attractive proposition, especially considering the license cost and the performance improvement that you get. Continuing this use case, I think this is just some of the stuff that is on AKS and how the AVD provides seamless virtualization. I'll skip through this. And again, retail innovation at the edge. This is where we are seeing a lot of demand from customer, that because of the way Azure the ThinkAgile MX solution integrates with Azure in the cloud and makes it a hybrid solution. You can have your applications be cloud ready and connected to the cloud in a very short order, and that gives a lot of functionality, especially for systems at the edge, where you have previously you would have like a POS systems or small applications that are running and would not have the capabilities that they want, like manageability, like life cycle maintenance, ease of deployment, etc., that you would not have previously. Using Azure Local and Think as Agile MX with Azure Local makes it really available to you. I discussed how Azure Arc enabled SQL gives you the best end-to-end performance. I'll not go into deep on that again. We discussed some of the solutions, the smart retail and the smart manufacturing. These are the edge solutions, even at even healthcare. Healthcare especially uses a lot of VDI, so that also provides a good avenue for for customers to look at Azure Local and ThinkAgile MX solutions. The value that it brings in here for the smart retail and smart manufacturing is they typically do not have a lot of staff to do the management, maintenance, etc. So when it comes as a fully integrated, validated end-to-end solution, it makes their life so much easier. You have, and if you have various locations, like you have thousands of locations, then you need management at scale. And ThinkAgile MX can provide you that using the partnership that we have with Microsoft and some of the plugins that we've built in with Azure Local. And that drives the cost savings, and the main thing is the single contact for the software support. Uh, So I see I'm not following all the questions in the chat, but I do see a question for Nutanix. Yes, the question is, are you selling this against Nutanix, and do you have a high-level compare and contrast versus Nutanix? I do not, unfortunately. I have a high-level in terms of prepared content, but I can speak through to it. Nutanix, in terms of cost, you would find that it is in the same ballpark as VMware. You might have cheaper cost initially, but later on, I think as the years go by, you would have the same cost, or at least in the ballpark that you would have. Azure Local, because of some of the integration uh, with the application, and because of the hybrid, because of the integration with cloud, it will provide you a lot better performance for hybrid applications and for Microsoft applications. There are probably better managed. There is a better management experience for Nutanix, especially if you are looking for UI, uh, experience driven through UI, and even that is changing with Microsoft and with the updates made to Azure portal. But initially, Microsoft's the Azure Local's focus was, PowerShell, the script, CLI commands, etc. And Nutanix was ease of use through UI. That has changed a little bit. Um, Overall experience probably can a little bit of edge would still go to Nutanix, but for performance and for end-to-end just experience and flexibility, edge might go to Azure Local. In terms of cost, as I said earlier, Azure Local would be hands down the lowest cost option of all three, with Nutanix and VMware being one A and one B, depending on your configuration. So moving on to the overview of ThinkAgile MX. So ThinkAgile MX, what it is what it consists of. I don't know how many of you are aware, but Lenovo servers have been nominated as the most reliable servers by the iTech survey response score for the last 10 years. We have the most uptime of the R class of servers. So it is very reliable, variety of products cater to various use cases. If you have RoboOffice, there's a product for that. If you have looking for a small um, box at the end of your for your edge location, we have a server for that. If you're looking for something in your data center, we have a solution for that. Especially for the data center now. The earlier poll question did mention some of the power and the cooling concerns. And so we are introducing with our latest V4 solutions, we are introducing the water-cooled solutions that allows you to reduce your power cost by 34%, and it allows you to, within the same budget, do a lot more things, a lot more use cases, and allows you to go more denser than it would because of your power constraints. One of our our mantras is flexibility. So we provide flexibility for configuration to build systems based on the needs of customer. We have a variety of options that we enable, and we do not have any prerequisite um, uh, elements that you have to buy this or you have to buy that. We have uh, we have integrated systems, we have validated nodes, we also have premier solutions. I have some slides that will go into premier solutions. That is an area I want to talk more deeply about, but we have those. One of the few vendors in the industry that have combination of all of those options. And if you're looking at it in terms of configuration options, also we have variety of configuration options. So truly, we want to go where the needs of the customer are, not try to force them into the options that we have. That same thing continues for the next point, the flexibility of platforms, the consumption model. You can do either CapEx or OpEx. We understand one of the key value propositions of HCI is ease of use. So we have the integration with Windows Admin Center. We have integration with Azure Portal. We also have our own Lenovo X Clarity integrator, so that allows you a variety of management options, and you can choose like if you are familiar with Windows Admin Center, then this plugin gives you same experience. If you are familiar with Azure Portal, if your applications mostly have been cloud, and now you're looking to cut the cost for your cloud expense and try to move to on-prem hardware, then you're probably used to the way Azure is managing this, and then you can extend that same learning to manage your on-prem devices. If you have other types of systems in your environment, if you need more hardware monitoring, etc., you have the Lenovo X Clarity integration available. So that gives you a lot of flexibility and in how you manage this and how you set up the environment. We provide a lot of services in planning, in management, and life cycle management, and that are tailored to customers. Again, we understand a lot of these are of your partners right now. And so the message here is whatever you want to provide to the customers, that is perfectly fine. Wherever you need our help, we have the skills and the ability to do so. So Lenovo has always prided itself in being channel first company. So we would be happy to support you in whatever wherever you need. You want to fill uh, the client's services. On to so So I did mention we have a variety of solutions. So this is kind of a total graph of that. If you look at Microsoft solutions in Azure Local, they come in four categories. The first category at the bottom of the pyramid is really just a filler, certified components you put together. This is for a nerd who's doing their own experiment. Certified components they put together and make a system. This is You have a lot more options of certified components, but again you have to do a lot more management here. So this is not really an option for an enterprise or even SMB company, not an option for a professional company. Validated nodes is though, so it is where we or someone somewhere has tested this product with the Azure Local requirements and said that it is working. It worked at that time for that version of the hardware firmware that was there. Um, so this allows you to, this is for companies who do a lot of their own management, are a lot more hands-on, and they want to do the firmware management across all of their hardware environment. Then in that case, the validated node gives them the flexibility But I will say though that this has been validated nodes has been a source of lot of um, customer anxiety because the versions that customer has goes out of date. Some new problem has been identified and it's no longer that version is no longer supported, etc. And that gives a lot of heartburn for customers. Then the next one up is the integrated systems. So integrated systems is you have the hardware, the software, all of that is sold together. It is all tested at the time it is sold and tested on a regular basis. So you have the right firmware version combination for each of these parts, each the NICs, the drives, etc. All of that, the exact firmware combination, that is all packaged into one what is called best recipe. And that best recipe is provided at the time of the sale, and we continue to do these tests on a regular basis and provide updated best recipes should the situation demand, and on a regular basis. So this is a little bit more hands-on. You don't have to monitor the versions or the uh, firmware revisions, etc. You get a package of firmware that has been tested at least periodically. So that gives you confidence too that your system is in support with Azure Local. The top of the pyramid is the Premier solution. Premier solution is the best in-class experience with deployment, with the lifecycle management, and also the support, etc. So the white glove end-to-end experience is provided by Premier. If you're doing deployment, I will actually hold off on going more into Premier because I have some subsequent slides there that will talk about that. Here we see the various on the right side. We see various solutions listed in the Azure Local catalog that we have. Lenovo has a variety of solutions across all of these categories. The top three, I mean, not just components. Mm. So this is a pictorial view uh, of uh, of our key offerings. If you look at it, this is Premier in terms of integration. This is integrated systems. Then top of the integration is Premier, and on this side you have base station, data center closet, where you want to use it. Versus on the as you move to the right, it is the data center, and then there is also the private cloud option. So we have the MX 455 V3 PR as a solution for the edge uh, cases, for the remote offices, your data stores, your local stores for any sellers of grocery chains or manufacturing company, your distribution centers, etc. And as you move into data centers, you have 1U, 2U. This 650 is also available as integrated as well as Premier solution. And if you're looking for more uh, private cloud offering, we have the SXM solution, which will come in as a racked and stacked solution. All the internal cabling, plugging, networking, etc. is done. You just have to wheel this in, connect the power and the external network, and you're good to go in terms of private cloud. So going back to the Premier offering, what is it and what does it bring to the table? It when we sign up for Premier customers, and there are right now only two you know, that are in the Premier club, so to speak. We what we do is we set up a test bed in Microsoft environment and have a equivalent test bed in our own environment at Lenovo. So our hardware combination, any of the hardware combination that you would choose, drives, NICs, whatnot, those are getting tested on a CI/CD pipeline with the latest Microsoft code in their lab as well as in our lab. So that way, these are hammered, and any issue that the customer sees now has been seen in the lab before, so it is easier for us to get back to it, or uh, ideally like fix it before it even comes out. So it gives you increased reliability, which gives you reduced downtime. um, it also has an integration with our Lenovo Open Cloud Automation, or LOCA for short. I'll go into more detail on LOCA if time permits, which I think we might not have. But the LOCA allows you, it is automated, it allows you ease of deployment, saves a lot of time on deployment, and reduces time or potential for errors. Then there is a life cycle management. So I mentioned when the software is available from Azure portal that you can see on the screen. At the same time, all of the firmware also is available on the screen. And at the click of the button, you can update the software as well as all the firmware from the same place. It will do the updates in a cluster aware fashion. And you don't have to worry about any of that. So this is like the easiest to manage experience that Premier provides. It also provides a single point of support for hardware as well as software. In integrated systems, we do provide single point of contact for support, but here it's actually the support team is the same. So it's the same team that is providing support for hardware, software. For integrated systems, if there is an issue, we'll raise a ticket with Microsoft, we'll work with them on that and provide the response back to you. But ultimately, it is the different team that is looking at it from a software point and different team that is looking at it from a hardware point. Here, it's all the same. Premier offering is also the place where latest and the greatest functionality will be introduced. We have been in discussions with Microsoft on a lot of this functionality. Can't disclose much at this point right now, but at Ignite, it will be announced. And all of this functionality will be available in Premiere. So Premiere is supposed to be um, the latest cutting edge where new features, functionality will be added. It also has the top services and security from both Lenovo as well as Microsoft. I realize I'm running short on time, so I'll skip through some of the content here. Uh, with the LOCA one, as I mentioned earlier, the core framework model for LOCA is that it's designed to enable easily customers to deploy easily across a distributed environment and manage the life cycle on-prem. So if you see here, you in a distributed environment, you would go and do the rack and stack in the environment, and you would connect it to the network. And as soon as you do that, with Loca, actually, when you do the rack and stack with the Loca enablement that you've done, it makes it easier where it will be recognized immediately upon network connection by the Azure portal, and then you can deploy the entire cluster in that fashion. So it like I mentioned here, it triggers the Arc bootstrap across all the sites and the hardware configuration. And the savings you will have will multiply across multiple, like if you have more sites to handle, a lot of this initial work, you templatize it and then spread it across multiple users, multiple locations. So last November in last Ignite, Microsoft made some changes here. uh, changed the name of Azure Stack. It was previously known as Azure Stack HCI. It is now Azure Local, and so that is more than just a name change. It was also a change in the way things they were looking at things. Earlier, it was just Azure Local, and uh, 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 excuse me. So Azure Local is more across all the locations. It is a cloud, no matter where you go, at the data center, at far edge, etc. Sorry.
All right. So if you do have customers who are looking at VMware environment, where are you guys on this particular journey? And while you're answering that, I'm going to answer a couple of the inbox questions that we got. So yes, we will make sure that everybody has a copy of the slides. And then Amit, plug your ears on this one. In regards to the Nutanix piece, we'll definitely get you some of the competitive information. If Nutanix is something that you definitely need to consider and want to look at, Lenovo does provide this exact same platform as ThinkAgile MX, and so we can offer the same solutions with Nutanix. So real quick, I don't know if you know the answer to this one. Can you have an SMB share on the on-prem server using Entra ID logon to authenticate to the share, like the server's Entra ID joint?
I don't know the answer off the top of my head.
Get back to
But
that one.
again, if you can send me the question, I can have our team look at it and provide you a response back.
We owe you an answer on that one. All right. So 42% looking at alternatives, and another 57% open to discussion on alternatives. Okay, great.
Great. So that is the same feedback that Microsoft has also seen, that we have also seen from our other customers. Lot of it. Everybody is spooked by the increase in cost, and they're looking for alternatives, evaluating their options. Earlier, was like, VMware has a lot of functionality. I don't need a lot of that, but again, doesn't cost me much, so I might as well keep it for if I ever need it. Now that it costs an arm and a leg, people are really evaluating: do I really need all of this? Do I really want myself to be hostage to VMware? So, in response to that, Microsoft is adding a lot of tooling functionality to make that transition easier. They're going to announce this migrate tool. I believe it is close to, this was at last Ignite, they announced it as migration in preview. I believe it should be close to GA now. Yeah, so this, what it does, it allows you to um, set up your environment such that it, in the back end, it listens and it fills up its database. It fills up the whatever data it requires, so that when you actually do the cutover, there is a downtime, but it is significantly smaller. The migration experience end to end becomes a lot easier and a lot less disruptive for you. You don't need to rewrite the apps. You just need to convert the VMware VMDK to Azure VM, and it most importantly, it all stays on-prem, so there's no cloud costs involved with that migration. So it's a very promising tool, and we've received great response from this. Some of the other things I did mention briefly, that in some cases there are functionality in VMware that is not there in Azure Local. One of that is disconnected operations. Azure requires you to be connected to the internet at least once a month, so that that licensing information can be shared and updated. uh, in some cases it might be more than that, but you can get by with at least once a month connectivity. But if you want a totally disconnected operation, you would not have Azure Local solution for that. VMware option is available, and also the Azure Stack Hub option will be available from the Microsoft side. So now Azure Local is considering adding that functionality. It is in preview right now, private preview. It will be some time before it is available. So that is a gap in terms of functionality. Uh, this is added now. The AKS services is built in. You see. I mentioned earlier the Azure Local AI services has Azure Local has an integration with the Azure, and that allows you to do a lot more with AI than you normally be able to. The library of AI services that are available in Azure is huge, so you can integrate that with the Azure Local and really expand your AI use cases. I do not have all the details of how to do that, but there have been a lot of use cases. Some applications like with Everseen, etc. We have the use cases where we have done that integration and done that testing. So uh, maybe right now we are running short on time, but at a later point we can definitely go into more details on this if there is interest. We talked about hybrid SKU. So um, I think we talked about the OEM SKU and the functionality. We'll provide the slides for you for reference. I want to leave some time for any questions that are outstanding that I have not gotten to, or anything that we might want to cover. Is there any other topic that we want to cover? Chuck or Austin, is there any question that I want to get?
Yeah, I had no more questions other than the one that we had. I know I think I have a few D&H slides here towards the end.
Okay, sure. Then again, most of this topic I have already covered. So when people get the slides, they will be able to go through it. So you can take it.
I can take over. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Amit. I appreciate it. Sorry for flying through that. Curious, are the people on here, are you familiar with Lenovo's mission acquisition program and the benefits that were added on April 1st? Well, while you're answering that real quick, just to summarize a lot of things that went over based on your guys' requirements at the beginning. Now, this is a great way. Lenovo has this awesome tool called OneIQ that you can access through D&H. And so make sure you're contacting our Lenovo business unit for this. And basically, it'll analyze an environment, and it will help you understand, okay, so how much can we increase our capacity, decrease our footprint, where can we potentially decrease the licensing costs, and then manage our cloud computing costs better by really maximizing and optimizing a hybrid environment, right? Because that's the beauty with Azure and Azure Local, ThinkAgile MX. You can blend it all together and run it as one environment. So let's see, some familiar? No. So Lenovo has a bonus program. It's called Mission Acquisition New Customer Bonus. So not only do you get a deal reg if it's a new infrastructure customer to Lenovo, so they could have Lenovo laptops or desktops, but if they don't have the infrastructure, you can get actually an extra 10% off for the first 6 months and an extra 5% off for your customer for the second 6 months. So it's a fantastic program to bring new customers to Lenovo for the server and storage side. All right, D&H, building a business together. So this is RBU. Like I said, I'm the director. We have lots of resources to help you guys. So don't feel like that you're in this alone. We can help you with everything. We have Shannon, Jason, and Andrew, who are our business development managers. Fantastic, wonderful support specialists to make sure that you guys get your quotes around. 2 rock star engineers, Joel Tower and Sean Stoper, are amazing. So if you need help from a pre-sales perspective, we are more than happy to do that. Hop on customer calls with you, whatever you need. Jessica and Rayshawn are wonderful support people. So you have an enormous team, lots of resources here, basically available to help you guys sell more. And so this is really our map coverage. So if you're in one of these states, Jason's going to be the lead in the red, Shannon's going to be the lead in the teal, and Andrew is going to be the lead in the purple. And let's see, we got another question. Yes, Shelly, yes, we're gonna send out all the slides and make sure that you guys have all of that again. And from a Nutanix perspective, complicated to quote from the renewal. I think, actually working with D&H can make the things a lot simpler, especially from Azure perspective and quoting. So we're all about simplification on that. We can obviously talk in more detail. Just reach out to me or reach out to the business development reps that are on this. Real quick, obviously you guys know about our service. So we're concierge. We're going to handhold you guys from whatever you need to do in deal reg to make sure that you can get the new customer bonus. We do have something that we call the authorized to silver bonus. So Lenovo has tiers. If you have not sold $250,000 of Lenovo ISG and you do $250,000 of Lenovo ISG through D&H, this is a D&H exclusive, D&H will give you a $4,000 incentive credit to your account. If you sign up for our Score 360 program, we will give you rebates along the way to get to that silver discount. So you sell servers, storage, or services, we will add to that. And then we did have a program that we ran in last quarter, and we're going to run it again this coming quarter. The 10 PartnerFi members. So if you're part of PartnerFi and do the highest amount of Lenovo ISG revenue, you get $500. If you're not part of PartnerFi, I encourage you to talk to your sales team about it. And then, why would we want to look at Lenovo? Well, like Amit said, unplanned downtime. 10 straight years, Lenovo's had the least amount of unplanned downtime. 5 straight years, lowest downtime from security attacks. You talked how important security was a little bit earlier. Lenovo's got the most world records for performance workloads, and it's been #1 on a top 500 supercomputer. So if you even need more oomph, there you go. And their storage platforms are considered top 5 from a cybersecurity network of stat storage. The other thing, reduce channel conflict. I'm sure if you guys are selling HPE or Dell, you're probably running all kinds of channel conflict for server deals. The market is not as saturated for Lenovo infrastructure, so you're highly likely to be able to register deals, which is fantastic. We talked about mission acquisition. If you are a higher level of, say, HPE or Dell, we can actually talk about doing a medallion match and matching your status with that partner and giving you the equivalent Lenovo benefits to that level. If you're interested and really want to help work with us and put a business plan together, just ask the question and we will hop on it for you. All right. So that said, would you like your D&H rep to follow up with you?
I think the only answer that makes sense here is yes and yes.
Yeah. So I will make sure that that the person from our business unit follows up with you guys. And just wanted to thank everybody for hopping on this webinar today. Hopefully it was useful and you understand that there is an escape from the VMware tax that Broadcom's implemented. And we can help you continue to support your partners, because I'm sure a lot of you probably, unfortunately, got removed from that VMware channel program. So, let us help you navigate through those waters, and we got you.
All right. Thanks again for the opportunity. Thank you.